Well, here we are again in an election year, and I know many of you in the Crocoduck Army watched the recent debates where the Republican candidates argued about the cutting-edge issues of our time. You know, things like sugar beets, moon bases, and a woman who was in a vegetative state for years until she died back in 2005. They never did get to talk about their favorite ice cream flavors, but I'm sure they'll get to that critical topic next time. I'll bet Newt's favorite is Chubby Hubby. While they prepare for their next public display of questionable intellect, they're all running around Florida talking about class warfare. Now, in case you didn't know, the Republican definition of class warfare is anyone who suggests that perhaps the wealthy should chip in a bit more than they do today for taxes. It's a rhetorical tool used to shame people into not suggesting it. Of course, when Republicans say the government simply needs to cut programs that affect only the poor or unemployed, instead of sacrifice being shared, that's not class warfare at all. This distinction seems to be lost on them, but then again, why should they care? After all, poor people can't afford to pay for lobbyists or super PACs. Even worse, when the oil companies and other industries that do hire armies of lobbyists get huge tax breaks while already making enormous profits, that shortfall is either taken from programs or borrowed to make up the difference, increasing the debt. Companies all want to make a profit, and it's generally good when they succeed, but there's no reason to pay them extra for what they would do anyway. That's like the day Jessica Alba's agent told me, "Hey, Zaunstar, Jessica loves your videos, and she's waiting for you in bed right behind that door." Then, before I could even open the door, Congress handed me a bag with $1 million of American taxpayer money in it, begging me to please go inside. Then Mitt Romney called, and he told me that any taxpayer objections were just the politics of envy. So I said, well, if you insist. And then, sadly, my alarm clock rang. There are plenty of excuses out there for not raising taxes on the wealthy. One of my favorites is that the 1% already pays 40% of the taxes. Of course, they also control 43% of the wealth, which they won't mention. But when it was proposed that they pay 3% more last year as part of a budget proposal, Republicans wouldn't hear of it. Then there's the hilarious excuse about how the wealthy won't work hard anymore if you raise their taxes at all. Bill O'Reilly especially likes this excuse, and I've seen clips of him saying this many times over the years. Frankly, anyone that suddenly won't work toward a $10,000 raise because they'll keep $300 less of it isn't smart enough to deserve to be wealthy. That means you, Mr. Tide Goes In, Tide Goes Out. Some people want to institute snake oil solutions like the flat tax. The flat tax proposes that everyone pay the same percentage rate on their federal taxes. The claim is that this would make taxation simpler, completely ignoring that the complexity is almost entirely in the types of income and loopholes that Mitt Romney uses to pay 14% of his total income when a school teacher pays about 25%. The people proposing this know full well that the wealthy would not be paying more under a flat tax, or the 3% tax hike for millionaires I mentioned earlier would have been no problem at all. Some flat tax proponents say they want to eliminate loopholes, but I don't see those blind trusts, gift tax exemptions, and offshore tax shelters getting eliminated without a fight, much less an adjustment to capital gains rules for the wealthy. So, does your money enjoy the weather in the Cayman Islands this time of year, Mitt? I'm not quite in the 1%, but I don't generally begrudge wealthy people their success at all, nor am I ashamed of my own success. I've personally met many people that are very well off that agree with me on this issue, and so do Warren Buffett and Bill Gates. The difference between us and the Mitt Romneys of the world is that we're looking beyond narrow self-interest, and not trying to make excuses about how the already struggling should feel the burden of bad policy decisions made by government at the behest of the powerful, and that somehow we need the help. I'm perfectly happy to have a discussion with Mitt or whoever else thinks that the wealthy shouldn't need to sacrifice in hard times. But save your class warfare defense for someone more easily fooled.